Hey there, this is the Small Fish, Big Podcast, a show for the gallus few who dream and do. If you're a small biz owner, a creative freelancer, or someone dreaming about leaving your 9-to-5, this is the podcast for you. Each week, I'll chat with an inspiring guest who will share their entrepreneurship story before we delve into a discussion about running a creative business. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the second season of Small Fish, Big Pod. Today I am joined by Lisa Lawson, who is the founder and the wearer of many hats at Dear Green Coffee. Hi, Lisa.
Hi there.
Hey, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Lisa's episode is especially timely, and we will move on to that next, but I would love to hear a little bit about your business and how you got to where you are today.
Sure, yeah. So we're a coffee roasting business. I established the company in 2011, kind of because I really wanted to roast coffee and no one was doing it in Glasgow, where they were offering freshly roasted, locally roasted, single origin coffees. And it's something that I'd done many years before in Australia when I'd been backpacking and I got a random job in Sydney. And I absolutely fell in love with coffee, came back to Scotland and no one was doing it. So after a sort of series of silly jobs that I didn't really get paid very much money in, I decided, okay, what have I got to lose? I'm just going to start roasting coffee in Glasgow. So yeah, here we are, like over 8 years later, almost 9 years now. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So it kind of stemmed from, I guess you maybe almost fell into it a little bit in Australia and then came back and went, nobody's doing this here, and found a hole in the market.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'd worked as a chef before, I'd worked in hospitality. I actually worked in a deli in Sydney, and the deli owner said, oh, I don't have enough hours for you, but my son's started the roasting coffee in his garage. Can you help him pack up the beans? So she didn't have a job for me, but offered me an opportunity. And I just turned up, at this random address one day. It was before everyone really had a mobile phone. So I just had an address written on a piece of paper and turned up, and it was a 5-kilo coffee roaster in a garage in the red light district, and I got paid £10 cash in hand. It was all a bit odd. Didn't really tell my mum what I was doing at the time, just that I had a job, because I didn't want to explain it too much. But I was just like, wow, all these beans, they look different, they smell different, they taste different, depending on what country they're from. And it was just a really exciting time because it was the millennium. It was the year of the Olympics in Sydney. There was just so much excitement in the city. The sun was shining, and I was, straight out of Scotland, and I just graduated, and I was just ready to kind of see the world and experience something new. So when I wanted to roast again in Glasgow, I suppose I had a dilemma. I was like, are the good memories about the sunshine and the good times I had there, or is it because I really did love coffee? So I had to really experiment a little bit, and really realised that I did. I was totally in love with coffee, and I really wanted. I realised no one else was as much as I was. I couldn't have those conversations with people, and I needed to. Yeah, I just needed to do it for myself, and the conversations then I did start to have her internationally with other coffee roasters around the world. Starting Dear Green was about the same time as Instagram started, so you just made lots of lovely connections straight away, and learned lots from one another, and was inspired by other roasters in major cities. So yeah.
That's great. And it's nice that you kind of found a way with social media to find inspiration, and I don't know if role models is the right word, but other people doing what you wanted to do or had kind of brought your a similar idea to life. Because it must have been, I don't think craft coffee, if it's right to call it that, was really as much of a thing back then.
Yeah, well, it wasn't in Glasgow, but it was everywhere else, it seemed. Any major city had, great coffee roasters. So the culture really was in Australia much earlier than it was in the UK. And it had already touched London and Bristol, Brighton, but not really in Scotland yet. So I kind of could see like there was a trend. It wasn't why I started the company. It was just coincidental of when was right for me in my life. And yeah, when I'd had enough of working for other people, I think actually was probably what happened.
I totally get that. I think lots of small business owners feel the same way, whether they end up starting their own business in a sort of similar industry or just go and do their own thing because they're ready to have that freedom. I think that's really great.
Yeah, I think it was frustration for me. I started a little coffee roastery for someone else, and they didn't really want to invest in it. They couldn't really see my vision, and they didn't want to pay me a lot of money. And I had all this knowledge and expertise. So that was a frustration. And a couple of jobs previous to that I'd found frustrating as well for different reasons. So maybe it was me that was the common denominator, who knows? But it definitely reached a point where I'm like, oh, am I going to be in the minimum wage forever? Or, you know, can I just take this risk? You know, so I didn't have any money, and I sort of clicked on a coffee roaster online before I knew it. I had committed to buying it. I didn't have the money to buy it. I thought I could just get a business loan, thought I could just go to the bank. Bank laughed at me. So I had like 28 days to find £24,000, I think it was. And I had nowhere to put the roaster. And then so I sort of managed to raise the money through a bunch of private loans, friends and family, and a complete stranger as well who trusted me and believed in me. It was a bit like Dragon's Den, I suppose, but sort of back then. And so the roaster was on its way, and then I found somewhere to put it. There's a couple of backup storage options, but that's how it all started. And then you don't really know how to run a business or how to start a business if you've never done it before. There's no rule, and every business is so different. And this was something that no one had done locally, so I couldn't even really ask. So, it was all a bit of a gamble.
That's incredible. So you basically just went for it. You went, I'm going to do this, and found the money and got the machine, found a space, and just went full steam ahead.
Yeah. I had people laughing at me as well. People just thought I was crazy. I rented out the spare room. Yeah, you find a way though. I just rented out the spare room in my flat, and I just sort of, lived on cocoa noodles, I think, for about a year. And didn't stop going to the pub and stopped having a social life. Just made sure that I could I worked in a deli every Sunday so I could pay my rent. And you just find a way. I think it's something you really want to do. There's always a way to do it. Sometimes, I didn't have a business plan. Everyone says to me, what was in your business plan and how do you write a business plan? I'm like, I have no idea. I've never written one. And you're supposed to update it every couple of years and have your next, 5-year strategy. But what good's that when there's a pandemic? Or, it's, I think if you've got a good eye for numbers and just make sure you don't go into debt and you make sensible decisions and you multitask and you have good time management, all these things, then or even if you don't, you learn. So, or you have no option. But yeah, just went for it. Why not?
That's so cool. And I think too, like, you're right, people get really caught up in these things like, I need to have a business plan, I need to have this much money set aside, I need to have this figured out. I'm very much the same as you. I'm kind of like, if I want to do something, I'm just going to do it. I'm definitely a look before I leap kind of person. And while there have been times where that's maybe got me in a bit of trouble or made things a little bit more difficult than they would have been had I planned them out kind of very rigidly, it means that you take risks and you don't say no to opportunity and you create your own opportunity. And I think as long as you're doing that and learning from any mistakes that you make along the way, that you're growing and you're learning as you go. So I love that. That's a great story. And it's nice that you're, that you share that advice with other people who are maybe held back because they think they need all of these things in place.
Well, I would never advise anyone to start a business the way I did it.
But
I wouldn't do it again.
Tell us a little bit. So from those kind of starting days where you bought the roaster, you found a place to put it, how did you grow from there to where we are today?
Well, it's been really gradual and it's such an organic growth that we've had. I think every year we doubled our sales because we were new and we were part of this international trend without realising it. And everyone kind of wanted a piece of us. And businesses were hungry for products, and then we launched our website. I always say we, but it was just me really. And I was in profit the first year, and I was told that's ridiculous, you're not even supposed to be in profit in your first year. But I had no idea. I just kept going and worked super hard. Every year I took on one more staff member, so we've kind of like built up. We had 10 actually, but we're down to 5 at the moment. But it sort of went as one extra person per year. So I got someone else to help pack coffee, and then gradually someone else to roast, someone to do some deliveries, someone to do the barista training. So all the things that I used to do myself, I would like roast on Monday, deliver on Tuesday, barista training on Wednesdays. I would do admin on Thursdays. I would collapse on Fridays. Then I'd be doing events on Saturdays. Then I'd work a deli on a Sunday, so I knew I could pay my rent. And I was back to Monday. That's how my week used to go. And I was really dedicated, and I did a lot of like social media myself. Really enjoyed that side of it. And at the time, I think there were less algorithms, so actually your posts worked. And I think I've just picked really great people to work with me. I'm feel very blessed that I have a brilliant team, and I always have had, and really hardworking, passionate people. And that's, been key to the success, I think, and possibly having the integrity in what we do as well. We do love coffee. We do make sure we know a lot about it. We source it very well, with, the ethics behind it are as best as they can be. You can never be totally sure where you're getting something from when you're buying it from, a crazy third world country that doesn't really have the same infrastructure as us. So everything, we've visited Coffee Origins every year, do one trip to somewhere to make sure we have a good relationship with importers, exporters. So I'd like to think that the fact that we've gone that extra mile to make sure we have a great source for our product, and that we have great people working here, means we offer great customer service, and a great quality of product. And I think that's really basic. And that's like getting the basics right is a key to helping your business grow. And as we've grown, we're like, we've kind of been like, oh shit, like how are we going to do that? And we'll just do it anyway. Lots of things have come our way we didn't know anything about, and you just learn and make it happen. I guess there's a few stumbling blocks along the way, and then you have to implement structure. You have to document procedures. It all gets a bit boring after a while, but then you realise that helps you grow to the next stage. And every business will have a different time where they have to introduce different things depending on what you do and who your customers are, all that stuff. It's an interesting journey, definitely.
Well, and I think what I find really interesting about it is I always think when people create a product like you do, that they probably just have a background in it. Maybe they worked for a long time for a company that did a similar thing and then decide to go out and do it themselves. But it sounds like kind of taught yourself everything that you know along the way. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you learn to actually do what you do?
I already roasted coffee. So when I was in Sydney, I roasted coffee for almost 3 years. So I had a lot of knowledge about coffee already, and I knew about the function of roasting. I'd always been a bit of an all-rounder, and I've always been a hard worker. I've always worked in hospitality, so like working as a chef, 14-hour shifts back to back during Edinburgh Festival. I mean, that's, if you can do that, you can run a business, I reckon. If you've got that stamina in you. Obviously I was much younger then, but I managed odd bins shops, wine shops for a number of years, and then I was a wine rep, so then I had sales experience. My degree was a business degree, but I finished my degree when I was like 21, and then started business when I was 33, and I didn't do anything to do with my degree when I left uni. But somehow I guess maybe I've tapped into some of that knowledge that I thought I didn't really have. It's in there somewhere, But yeah, I don't know. I have taught myself a lot. The coffee industry also has developed during the time that I've run Dear Green. So the amount of information available to me about coffee, like even the amount of information available at anything